Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams.
And welcome. It's the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are radio for the local craft beer movement, broadcasting from our flagship studios at AM 920 The Answer in lovely Buckhead, Atlanta. I'm Aaron Williams.
And I'm Tim Dennis. And on this week's show, we are talking to Eventide Brewing out of Grant Park. We've got brand manager Haley Cowan in the studio with us today. Haley, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you brought beer, so I'm very happy about that, too. It's a very good thing.
That's one of my favorite things, Aaron.
It is. That's kind of why we do a radio show, isn't it? Yeah, sometimes. Anyway. Yeah, so you know what? Let's just get right into it.
What'd you do, Aaron?
You know what? It was Halloween.
Yes.
And, of course, I have 3 kids, and so Halloween is a pretty big deal. You know, it's kind of sad, though, because my son is in the 7th grade, and he decided he just didn't want to trick-or-treat this year. So
that's about the right age for deciding you're too cool.
I think that was about my age too, but still, you know, it's kind of sad. You know, you've been trick or treating him growing up. It's in those little cute outfits, and now he's just too cool for school. So that's it. But I've got 2 little ones, and the little girls, of course, dressed up. One a princess, and then one a panda.
Now you had a little one that was under the weather. Did she make it out?
Yeah, she had 102 fever on the morning of.
Not missing that candy, right?
No, because
Dad.
We dressed up the older one, the 4-year-old, and we went to. I was taking her to a friend's house. We were going to trick-or-treat together. And as she was leaving, the little one was so upset that we were leaving without her that Mom had to go get her, and then we had her in a stroller, and she powered through it, man. I was pretty impressed with
that. The power of candy.
Yes.
Right?
Now, the good thing about that, though, is one of my good friends, Andrew Cooper, is a great home brewer, was at his house. So I got to pregame with some of his beers, and I was very excited about that. So he had a homebrew pale ale, which is fantastic, using some hops that I honestly haven't heard of, but they were kind of nice. It's a really nice, solid pale ale. He had a Belgian and also a barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout, which was absolutely fantastic, and it's about 12%, so I filled that sucker right up to the rim as we were walking past. So I made for a nice, warming Halloween, kind of walking up
for the
up
cool 80-degree Halloween temperatures we have in Georgia. Right?
Exactly.
So, how's your neighborhoods on trick or treat? Do you guys get a lot of them there?
Ours are pretty awesome. Well, we live in a pretty big neighborhood in Gwinnett County, and I think the word is out that other people come into our neighborhood to trick or treat. Because I do know we live in an older neighborhood, so it's sort of in transition. We've got people that are brand new families like us, and then there are people that have been there since the 80s, and their kids have moved out and moved on. And the older people are great because they're the ones who are giving like the full size candy out. We've got at least 2 houses, and like they're the best. And it's so funny because like you go up to that house and you see the kids get the full size candy, and like they close the door and they're like, they're giving out full size candy.
Sending the wire
it's
out
like everyone's
town.
Going crazy. It's awesome.
Go to this house. Go to this house.
That's right. It's either that or money, and they're like, I got money.
Yeah,
like,
you can buy full size candy with that.
You
so
can.
It works out.
I usually get rocks, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So. How about you?
It's a busy week. Yeah. You know, Halloween took it kind of easy. I've got a busy subdivision as well, so I tried my best to stay out of the madness. I peek out the blinds at people. I figure it's being creepy on Halloween is acceptable, so I just do that.
As opposed to the rest of the time.
Yes,
right?
That's right. One day a year I can get away with it.
That's right. There you go.
Got together with my homebrew club last weekend. We did a little late, but we did our Oktoberfest party, so we had some good food, good good eats there. We enjoyed Scofflaw's Hooligan. Have you tried that one yet?
I don't think I have. Which one is that?
That's a new IPA.
Okay.
Real juicy. It's kind of Northeast style. It doesn't have that haze, but probably one of my favorites from them.
Okay, because they've got the Northeast or the Basement IPA that's kind of the traditional juicy, murky IPA.
This one's got a slight haze to it, but super juicy, balanced bitterness, really good. So if you can find that one, I know it's limited. I think they said it went to like 20 a count. So find that one out there if you can. I opened up one of my bottles from Colorado, the Casey Family Preserves Cherry. So good. That's just has a great goozy lambic wild ale taste to it. Really enjoyed that one. We cracked some Mexican cake last week.
That's right, we did it.
So we were hanging out at Your Pie Perimeter.
That's right.
And we got to enjoy that. So that was kind of my highlights. Oh, and we had Gate City's Copperhead.
That's right. That was a really nice one,
really
too.
Good.
Talked to the owners there, and they're going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. So
that's a great example of a brewery. When you start up, no matter how good you've been in the home brew, you've got to get used to your equipment. And, they contracted at Reformation for a while, or guest brewed, I guess you would say, and then got their own equipment. And that's it's really nice now. So if you haven't had Gate City in a while, give them another shot. Try the Copperhead. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to talking to those guys here in the next couple of weeks as well. So something else I'm looking forward to, it's the Truck and Tap Beers of the Week.
Crack open a cold one. It's the Truck and Tap Beer of the Week. Craft beer and food trucks in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com.
And since we have the lovely Haley Cowan in studio with us today, she brought some beer. I see some right there, and it's tempting me.
They're right there. They're looking at you.
They're looking right at me. What do we have this week, Haley?
I've brought a Kolsch and Pale Ale in cans. These guys just went to the market in February, so
nice.
You can find them throughout all of Georgia.
Definitely. And so those are nice ones, and especially that Kolsch. I know that almost a lack of a better term, almost a gateway beer for a lot of folks. It's one of the ones I kind of like to crack open, just like that. When people say they don't necessarily drink craft beer, this is a good one to kind of introduce them to. So yeah,
it's a really good gateway beer, and I think you said you've got some of your seasonal out here too, don't you?
We do.
Highlander, isn't it? So.
Oh, see, in the growler, too. That's always the best sign when you've got some in a growler.
Very cool. So, and that's a Scotch ale, is that right?
That is correct.
Excellent.
Nice.
So those are our beers of the week.
Yeah,
We're drinking Eventide.
Definitely, and it's about time for a Scotch ale, too. So it's, still 80 degrees, but it's getting colder out there. It's cooler this weekend, and hopefully we'll be in the 70s, and that crisp weather is coming back. So, always good. So, hey, let's get into the headline.
What's in the news? The beer guys have the scoop.
Extra, read all about it.
Time for headlines. Sponsored by Your Pie Perimeter in the Perimeter Place Shopping Center across from Perimeter Mall.
So, Tim, looks like you've got some information from one of our friends up in Marietta.
Yeah, so I talked to David, or we traded a few messages today on Facebook about some expansion of their brewery. Cool. So they have Ironmonger Brewing and also Naughty Soda that kind of were shared brands, so to speak. David said Ironmonger is going to go out. It's going to be its own brand. They're doing a lot of expansion. He's hired Dan Baker as his brewmaster. Dan's previously with Deschutes as well as Sweetwater.
Okay.
And he's going to be expanding, I think he said 125 barrels of fermentation space. They've got, I think it's 5 beers that he said will be ready in a few weeks, and they're going to do a market launch then. But more focus, got a brewmaster in there, and just really trying to launch the Ironmonger as its own standalone brand. Because before, you may remember talking to him, they do the Naughty Soda, the hard sodas, and Ironmonger was just something that's kind of complimentary at the brewery. Yeah. If you take someone who may want the hard soda, they knew that's not for everybody, so they wanted to keep a few beers there on tap. They're changing that up. Ironmonger, they're going to grow that some.
That's very cool. Good for them. I appreciate that. And also, we've got some news. Speaking of expansion, we've got something going on, too.
It's a big day for the beer guys.
It really has been a big day, big week for the beer guys, actually. So we've been talking earlier, about Project BGR. And what this is, basically, is a chance for us to kind of talk to a lot of folks in the beer industry. Now, you may ask yourself, but Tim and Aaron, you already talk to people in the beer industry. That's true.
We do. That's a true statement, yes.
But we want to kind of do a little bit more and talk to some people nationwide. So we want to keep this focus here on Beer Guys Radio to folks in the Southeast, especially Georgia and Alabama. But, of course, there are over 4,000 plus craft breweries across the country, and we want to talk to more of them, kind of get their ideas. So that's what we've done. We've had some great interviews so far. It's a podcast only. Go to iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. It'll be there. Download, check us out, and hopefully subscribe.
Less than 30 minutes. Won't take too much of your time.
Yeah, we kind of did that on purpose so you wouldn't be stuck in traffic and halfway through and have to kind of pick it up. So a good travel commute podcast, hopefully, for us.
We're excited about it. Hopefully people give it a listen. They will be, too. Yeah,
and we've gotten a lot of stuff in the works. When we went to Great American Beer Fest, we picked up a ton of interviews, guys like Ballast Point and Trogs, and just a ton of different guys.
We've got Jester King. We talked
that's
for the homebrewers. We spoke to Jamil Zainashev.
And Michael Tonsmeyer, too.
Michael Tonsmeyer. So we've got a lot. There's 11 episodes out there right now.
Yes, exactly. And so about every other week or so, we'll go ahead and get a brand new one out there. So that is good. Speaking of good, by the way, it's election season. Unfortunately, it's coming up, and that's a good excuse to drink. We're not going to talk about the big election, but
I was going to argue with you about election season being good.
Yeah, you're right. But one quick note, too. There are still towns out there that don't allow alcohol sales. And the town of, I believe this is Arabi. I heard it. So hopefully it's the Arabi down there around the Albany area is voting on alcohol sales referendum. So hopefully they can get that passed here coming up on Tuesday.
That devil's elixir trying to get into every corner out there.
Man, that's going to get you every time.
Yes.
So we've got some more headlines, but it's time to take a break right now. Hopefully we'll get some later on in the show. But in the meantime, we've got Haley from Eventide Brewing joining us in the studio. We'll talk to her coming up next. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Bob Sandage, owner of the Wrecking Bar Brew Pub. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
The Beer Guys are back right after this.
Morgan and Lisa with Your Pie Perimeter here. We'd like to invite you to our store for a beer.
Is there anything better than pizza?
Yep, brick oven pizza that's made fresh and paired with a cold craft beer.
That's what you get at Your Pie Perimeter, located in the Perimeter Place Shopping Center by Perimeter Mall.
It's the perfect place to relax on the patio with a pint after work or bring the family in.
Follow Your Pie Perimeter on Facebook for all our beer events and specials, including beer tastings that you won't find anywhere else.
That's Your Pie Perimeter, located in Perimeter Place Shopping Center next to Chipotle. Tell them that the Beer Guys sent you.
Here on the Beer Guys Radio Show, we always encourage you to drink local. And of course, shop local at your favorite bottle shop. But sometimes you want something different. A beer you heard about online, or maybe you've got a bottle share to attend, but nothing special to bring, or you just want to check out something new. That's where Inside the Cellar comes in. They stock lots of craft beer from breweries that may not be available in your hometown. Shipping is almost free for every 12 you buy, and if you use our special promo code, you'll get 10% off of your order. Inside the Cellar also stocks wines and craft soda, too, and using Inside the Cellar helps us out. So head to beerguysradio.com, click on the sponsors link at the top of the page, and click the Inside the Cellar icon to shop, and enter our special promo code for 10% off, too. That's beerguysradio.com. Click the sponsors link and then go to Inside the Cellar.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out. Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I didn't enjoy it at all.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Come visit us at beerguysradio.com. We are broadcasting from the AM 920 The Answer studios in beautiful Buckhead, Atlanta, Georgia. And we're talking this week to Haley Cowan from Eventide Brewing in Atlanta, specifically Grant Park area.
Southside. There you go. Haley, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Don't be nervous. We're going to be
so
okay.
easy. We're hanging out, talking about beer.
And it's great.
It's all good.
It's very good. So speaking of which, we already opened one.
We did. We've got notes here. Just let's crack open a beer. But we
you
didn't wait
beat us
for
to the
that.
punch.
I jumped
Exactly.
the game.
You're
The
man.
gun.
And so we're having the Kolsch. Actually, like you said earlier in the show, that it's a really nice intro beer for people who are BMC Pilsner drinkers. This is a really nice kind of step up from that Pilsner. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
So for us, when we were looking at brand development and what products to bring to the market, it was important that we had something that the more mainstream consumers could transition over to craft without going with the big, robust flavors, the hop-forward beers. And this led to the Kolsch for us.
Mm-hmm.
We get a little bit of flack for it being a Kolsch style. So to be a true Kolsch style, it has to be brewed in Cologne, or true Kolsch. So we have to go with Kolsch style. But it does for us kind of transition those mainstream Pilsner drinkers over into the craft beer segment while still staying true to the style.
Yeah, and it's a kind of a low ABV, 5.3%, the low and bitter units. So it's, again, a very approachable, very easy, call them drinking beers or lawnmower beers, something that you just want to have a sixer of in your refrigerator in the garage when you're doing yard work.
We were pretty excited to put it in cans because then it suddenly became the river beer.
There you go. That's actually a good one, too. Yeah,
that's something with that style of beer. The can is the perfect presentation for it. That's something you want somebody to grab 6, 12, 24, whatever. Like you said, hanging out of the barbecue, going to the river, whatever. This is the perfect beer. I mean, I personally do like 14% Imperial Stouts.
I do too.
Did a case of those. But some people prefer, a beer like a Kolsch style.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I can crush, a few of those and
right.
having a barbecue outside, just hanging out. But yeah,
absolutely.
You give me a, Prairie Bomb or something like that, and I'm not.
You drink Prairie by the pint, though, don't you?
By accident,
whether you
I
want
did.
to or not.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I had a bartender a few months ago gave me a Prairie Bomb all in a pint, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to drink all of this Prairie Bomb because I could not let it go to waste.
Well, Haley, I tell you what, why don't you kind of tell us your craft beer story? What got you involved in the world of craft beer, and eventually to launch Eventide?
So it would have been around 2009. Our brewer Jeffrey was living out in Texas, and halfway across the nation, you can get a lot of the West Coast beers, and so he found that he was being exposed to a lot of those. And Nathan and I were living in South Florida at that time, and it was around the time that Total Wine started letting you make your mixed six-pack. So we were venturing out often on Jeffrey's recommendations of things that were coming out of the West Coast. And fast forward a year later, and we all ended up back in Atlanta, conveniently living pretty close to each other. And Jeffrey and Nathan started kind of the idea of down the road of home brewing. It kind of started over a beer, and it was like, craft beer is awesome. It's kind of expensive. What would it take to make our own? And Nathan, being an engineer, designed the system, and Jeffrey has an incredible palate for kind of dissecting the beers out there and then seeking out the ingredients to make it our own. And that was where the back end kind of started. And from that, there was some, adjusting of the water quality, having DeKalb water, and where we are now, we have Fulton water. So there was some adjustment to that too. But eventually, in kind of our talks of around the dinner table, we thought, we have someone that is background in engineering. We have someone whose background is in logistics, who has this pretty refined palate. My background was in sales, and we have another business partner whose background was in marketing. And we thought, we have the four cornerstones to start a business. And from that, we had several friends that had sampled our homebrew and felt like that we were really on to something. It was at least as good as what they were buying. And so we started trudging forward in how do we open a brewery. And we found that there was a lot of red tape in Georgia. So we initially started saying we're going to be in the market in 2011. And we really felt confident that we were. And then fast forward to 2014 when we actually put product in the market.
Finally did it, right?
Yeah. Get those permits and that red tape and everything kind of settled out, right?
Turns out starting a brewery is a costly endeavor, but that also comes with a lot of permitting and certifications and lead time on equipment. And so, but we're there now. We're coming up on our 3-year anniversary, and we're pretty proud of the products that we put in the market today.
I've seen so many breweries that say, we're starting here and we'll be in the market fall of 2016. I'm like, no, you won't. No, you won't. So it's something. But everybody comes out of the gate with the best attitude. They do their timeline. They forget to throw all the government permitting and lead times and stuff in there. But it's,
and
it's
everyone
a good
goes over
effort,
budget.
so,
and no matter what you do in every project, you have to add 10 to 20% over what you plan to budget because it's going to happen.
Right. And that's interesting because, Haley mentioned that this craft beer is good, but it's a little expensive. How do we make our own? I know so many homebrewers have tried to fool themselves or their spouses by saying, well, it'll be cheaper if I make it all. Then you need this piece and that piece and that piece.
Oh, I need that other piece of
being
equipment.
an engineer helps out, being able to construct some of it, but
so you've got an engineering background and, of course, some marketers and the brewers and things like that. You guys were almost totally DIY sweat equity when you built your building out, right?
I would say we were 100% DIY and sweat equity. We, the four of us, pooled our funds and our skill set together, and we searched around and found a community that was receptive to us being there. And I can't say enough about the Grant Park community. They've been extremely supportive, and it feels like a home away from home when you're at the brewery, and that's one of the things that we love about our location. But we did spend a tremendous amount of time working to have our fermenters work with our chiller, and we actually purchased a cooler from up north and had it shipped down in parts and had to reestablish it as a functioning cooler here. So it was a labor of love, if you will.
And definitely a good workout too.
Absolutely. You talk about being in the community and the sweat equity and that, and kind of rely on those resources. One thing you did when you're building out your tasting room, you did a Kickstarter campaign. So did the crowdfunding. What did you think of that process? How'd that work out?
It was a pretty seamless process, and it was very exciting to have the members of the community, whether they were local or even throughout Georgia, get behind our dream and kind of cheer us on to bringing the tasting room online was nothing short of a just spectacular feeling. Kickstarter campaign made it pretty easy. I mean, obviously you have to offer those guys a little bit of money, but we every day we looked and ticked away at those dollar amounts. And from some of those lifetime membership, that was one of our bigger packages, was you could purchase a lifetime membership. And some of our very, very good friends and very supportive customers have become a part of the Eventide family through that. So not only did it help us fund the tasting room, but it really worked to kind of embody who we were as Eventide and our ideas of being founded in friendship. And
yeah, and it almost seems like it's a community gathering space, more than anything else, where a lot of folks just, from the neighborhood and from the community kind of have adopted it as the place to hang out.
Eventide is Old English for twilight, and so our hours of opening really align with that. And the idea is behind it being a space for the community, a space that time of day can be anything that you want it to be.
That's, the Kickstarter community. I was a backer, so I came down, got a tour, got a neat tasting book and that. So I remember coming down before the tasting room was built and, talking with Nathan and those guys at the brewery, and they were showing, at the time I think it was old offices, was that, or kind of, and they're talking about, the vision there, seeing this, well, this got to come out, this got to move, we got to do this. And, so the tasting room, of course, looks nothing like the old space there. So
it was a widget factory. They made the female and male end of coax cables.
Okay.
And so as we were, resurfacing the floors, you would find these little coax cable pieces everywhere. But that office space that you looked at that used to look like a tic-tac-toe grid, we actually repurposed a lot of those components. So the lower bases of those became the bar, and the glass partitions actually now serve to create our lounge, which we offer for private functions during tasting room hours and even after hours.
Cool. We want to talk to you more about the event space and that. We need to take a quick break, though. So you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're talking to Haley Cowan of Atlanta's Eventide Brewing, and we will be right back.
I'm Garrett Lockhart, President and Brewmaster at Red Brick Brewing, and you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
The Beer Guys are back right after this.
Hey, it's Aaron. I want to give a quick shout out to our newest sponsor. It's HopSpot Beer Tours of Atlanta. Now, there's a lot of tours out there, but what makes HopSpot Beer Tours different? Well, you get exposure. There's more to Atlanta craft beer than just breweries. A HopSpot Beer Tour gives you the who, what, where, and when to craft beer right here in Atlanta and the state. Education. Whether you're a native, a transplant, or a visitor, you'll always learn something new. And connection. HopSpot connects you to guests, local breweries, and businesses to create those lasting relationships. We invite you to check out what makes HopSpot different. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter and Instagram at HopSpotATL, and of course, visit HopSpotBeerTours.com. Use promo code BeerGuys10 and receive 10% off your order. HopSpot Beer Tours. Hop on, get connected. That's HopSpotBeerTours.com. Hey, it's Aaron, and you're a fan of craft beer, right? And you want to know more about what's going on in the craft beer scene in Georgia? Thanks to the hard work from my co-host Tim, we are giving you the lowdown on the craft beer scene every week, right in your inbox. Go to BeerGuysRadio.com and sign up for This Week in Georgia Beer right at the top. We won't spam you, promise, or sell your name. Just good beer info every week. Plus, you can win great prizes from us. This Week in Georgia Beer, sign up today. BeerGuysRadio.com.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out, Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Ahoy there, mateys! Hunting whales? We've got you covered with Tim's Whale of the Week.
I'm always looking forward to your Whales of the Week. I often do, but especially this time of the year, because we're talking about like
that time, huh?
Imperial Stouts and all that big stuff that I love. So what do you got for us?
I'm going to start by telling a whale hunting story.
Yar, okay.
So the tale of internet whale chasers.
Yes.
And some beers they call barrel-aged Mexican cake.
Okay.
Did you see any of this yesterday?
I saw a little bit of it, but yeah.
So I don't know the full story, but these beer releases, it's so crazy, and no brewery can seem to do it quite right. So they released yesterday online, barrel-aged Mexican cake release. The internet went crazy for it, and there was rumors they released it too early, they released it too late, it didn't come out at the right time, and the internet was abuzz with excitement and anger over barrel-aged Mexican
When is it not a buzz with excitement and anger?
I've got, you just sit back and watch sometimes.
That's exactly right.
But anyhow, it's all gone. So that you can't chase that well. Maybe you can trade for it. But ones you can look for it.
Yes.
This one doesn't get as much love as it used to. A few years ago, there was a lot of hype. Not so much anymore. New things take its place. But barrel-aged Old Rasputin is out there. It's a fantastic beer. Take a look for it. Check that one out. From Georgia, Southern Brewing Company had a few bottles that are hitting shops. Only hits a few shops, but I know I saw I think it's called French Door.
Okay.
There was a raspberry Fooder beer.
Yes.
Their barrel-aged Imperial Stout that they shared with us when they came in, that's out there too. And Sierra Nevada's got a couple that look really nice called the Trip in the Woods series.
Okay.
And I believe there's a barrel-aged Narwhal and a barrel-aged Ginger. I forget which one.
Okay.
But it's stout. It's a big beer.
It's a big beer, so excellent.
Yeah,
so
Trip in the Woods series from Sierra Nevada.
Okay.
So those are the ones you want to keep an eye out for this week.
That sounds like a plan. And speaking of, we've got Haley Cowan from Eventide Brewing joining us again for segment number 3. Going to continue our discussions. But first, you brought a growler of something delicious that you had difficulties opening. But
there can be only
it.
one growler of this beer.
That's exactly right.
It, so
what have you got in that lovely growler there?
So I brought for you guys the Highlander, which is our late fall, early winter seasonal. It's an 8.2% Scotch ale.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but you're going to get some good dark fruits from it, some good kind of roasted notes on the back end that kind of give you a caramel, almost chocolatey roasted flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love for you guys to have some.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
As would we.
Exactly. So now
so
you
why
guys,
we?
I was going to say, go ahead.
Yeah, why we pour this? Just so your tap room, you kicked your did your Kickstarter, built your tap room out, open that. We know here Georgia's laws are kind of crazy. Most people listen to this show probably knows the challenges we go through with no sales at tasting room tours and that. So how important is the tasting room to your brewery and kind of to your mission?
So for us, the embodiment of Eventide is community. So from a community aspect, to just kind of be able to have that gathering place, the tasting room is extremely valuable in that. And from a revenue standpoint, obviously our tasting room launched prior to having packaged products. So from a brand recognition standpoint, having the opportunity to bring people down to the brewery to kind of see all of the sweat equity that we had invested and have the opportunity to engage with us and be a part of our vision was exciting.
Now, how long have you been canning your beers?
This February will be a year.
Okay. So, yeah, I was going to say, I thought I saw them earlier last year, so excellent. So now, you've also got some other things that you host. Of course, you have an event space that you rent out as well, probably a lot of weddings, get-togethers, those types of things.
It is wedding season.
It is, okay. I didn't know that, but okay, that's okay.
Per the almanac and our tasting room calendar.
I gotcha. Any potential husband would want to be planning a wedding. I think at a brewery would be a pretty good deal for a reception. That's my guess anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you've also got something called the Curiosity Club as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the Curiosity Club was something that the idea was introduced in that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And for us, the progression of from homebrewers to opening the doors at Eventide and putting product in the market, there was a lot of DIY. And we recognized that a lot of older generations are, for the newer generations, quilting, cheese making, a lot of those processes are lost to our generations.
Mm-hmm.
And so Curiosity Club was our way to give back to generations that didn't pursue those kind of things. And so we partnered with Homestead Atlanta, and they have a really solid foundation of craft individuals, and they come to the brewery. That's the third Wednesday of every month, and demonstrate everything from cheese making to banjo making. We've had a iron worker come in, and so we've really had the opportunity to just engage with other craft-focused individuals.
Now, this is part of a different series. Maybe it's not Curiosity Club, but didn't you have like the history of metal?
Yes.
Like metal music. Was that part of Curiosity Club?
That was our very first Curiosity
The
Club.
old world art of heavy metal, right? Teaching those lost generations about Metallica.
And Led Zeppelin and everything else.
That was prior to our partnership with Homestead, and we recognized that to be able to continue that, we needed a bigger resource pool of craftsmen and women.
Yeah, it's funny. You talk about the old world kind of crafting and quilting and knitting and all these types of things. I started canning a little bit. When we had our baby, we'd make our own baby food and things like that. And my grandmother, we're from the country, from rural Maine. And so she used to spend her, late summers canning, and that was her vegetables for the entire winter months. And so when I told her that I was canning, she's like, "What are you doing that for?" Because that's just the biggest pain in the butt, because she had to can all these, carrots and beets and like all this stuff. She was like, "You can just buy that stuff. Don't even worry about it." But I'm like,
that's funny, the perspective there. They did it because they had to.
Exactly.
They had to get that.
Yeah.
We do the small batch. Like, I love to pickle. And
me too, yeah.
I've done some lacto fermentation sauerkraut and that at home. And I love that stuff. It's fun. But I do a small batch because I want to enjoy it, not because I need to have food stocks for the rest of the year.
You're not relying on that for your vegetables for the winter. Exactly.
My pickles don't come out. I'll go straight up to Publix and take care of that.
That's exactly right. That's funny.
But cheese making something I want to learn. That's something I keep saying I'm going to try my hand at, but haven't made the jump. So that's something that, and cheese and beer. It's a great pairing. So that would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be
I couldn't agree more.
What are future curiosity clubs? Do you have any on the books just yet?
So Eat Me, Speak Me is going to be on later this month, the third Wednesday. I don't remember the exact date. And so they're going to be talking about how to, I guess, with animal cultivation, making sure that you're an ethical meat eater and that sort of thing, and how to go about doing that in Atlanta. And then I think normally we kind of just plan them the month in advance. I'm not really sure exactly what's coming up.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
it's cool. It's neat to see different breweries have kind of their own personalities and what they're passionate about. Different events like this, like with the Curiosity Club, because, like you said, there's so many of these little things that Aaron's canning stuff. I'm making sauerkraut now. We don't have to survive off of it, but it's cool to learn these things. It's in case you need to.
Yeah,
right?
in case a zombie apocalypse comes,
That's
we're good to go. We'll be fine.
You can all pickle.
That's right.
We can both make beer.
And we'll both make beer, so we're done. I mean, that's fine. The zombie apocalypse can come and go. No, got a couple of minutes left with Haley Cowan of Eventide Brewing. So what's coming up next for you guys? You've got the cans, you've got the tap room, fairly, let's call it limited distribution, basically Metro Atlanta. Any plans of expanding that reach?
Right now, you can find us in some of the larger cities throughout Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Coastal Georgia, we've got a pretty good solid market. In Savannah, we're seeing some growth. In Macon, to further kind of expand our footprint across Georgia, the A, which was our seasonal IPA, will be going into cans the early part of next year. We also have plans to launch our additional seasonal styles in cans. So Kattegat, our Baltic Porter, will go in cans. Not this upcoming winter season, but winter 2017.
That's a really nice Baltic Porter if you haven't had that one yet, too. That's nice.
The Red-Headed Haley will go into cans next fall. So just really trying to work to establish brand recognition throughout the state of Georgia. And I'm really excited about our anniversary ale. It is going to be a limited release, so it's for a third anniversary, and we'll go to 35 select accounts throughout Atlanta, but it is a double alt beer.
Nice.
And in my broken German, it's a Doppelsticky, which is the brewer's secret. So ideally, he would share this with some of his closest friends and go into these 35 select accounts. That's kind of our idea of sharing it with our closest friends.
Very cool. Very cool.
When will we be seeing that one?
So this will come out the first week of January. On January 7th, it will be released in the tasting room in celebration of our third year anniversary, and then that following Monday. So January 9th, you can start looking for that in the market.
Haley, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Talking about Eventide Brewing down in Grant Park. Check them out. Go visit them and try their beer. Hang out in the tasting room. Become part of the community. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I'm Josh Rachel. I'm the co-owner and brewmaster at Jekyll Brewing, and you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
The Beer Guys are back right after this.
Morgan and Lisa with Your Pie Perimeter here. We'd like to invite you to our store for a beer.
Is there anything better than pizza?
Yep. brick oven pizza that's made fresh and paired with a cold craft beer.
That's what you get at Your Pie Perimeter, located in the Perimeter Place Shopping Center by Perimeter Mall.
It's the perfect place to relax on the patio with a pint after work or bring the family in.
Follow Your Pie Perimeter on Facebook for all our beer events and specials, including beer tastings that you won't find anywhere else.
That's Your Pie Perimeter, located in Perimeter Place Shopping Center next to Chipotle. Tell them that the Beer Guy sent you.
Hey, this is Aaron. I want to thank you so much for listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We've got some really awesome things that are coming soon that will help us engage with you some more. We're not going to lie to you, though. It takes time, effort, and money to produce this show every week. So if you'd like to be part of the Beer Guys family, we would love your help. Head to patreon.com/beerguys to become a sponsor. We're not going to beg. Okay, maybe just a little bit. But hey, we've got some great swag for those who become a sponsor, and you'll be among the first to know about the great things that are coming to the Beer Guys universe. Again, that's patreon.com, patreon.com/beerguys, or you can go to beerguysradio.com and click the sponsor link. We thank you for your support, and cheers. Hey, it's Aaron, and you know what I hate? When I miss a favorite TV show and forget to DVR it. Don't let this tragic tale happen to you when it comes to Beer Guys Radio. Subscribe to us on demand. It is easy. If you've got iTunes, Stitcher, or any other iOS or Android podcast app, search for us, or go to beerguysradio.com, click listen, and you can copy and paste the RSS feed. While you're there, by the way, give us a review. It really helps. That's Beer Guys Radio on demand. Catch it today.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
And you're back. BeerGuysRadio.com is our website. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the socials. We are there too. Wrapping up this segment, the show, with Haley Cowan from Eventide Brewing. So thanks so much for joining us today and bringing some delicious beers. We are enjoying or finishing off that Highlander.
Haley, can I open up your last beer here, this Pale Ale?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Please do. Okay,
open that.
cool.
So, Haley, like I said, just about to wrap up our interview here, but I did want to ask something. As it's a hot topic. There's views on both sides of it, but being a woman in the craft beer world. So, what are your feelings on that? Do you feel it's welcoming, room to grow? There's some great organizations in Atlanta, correct?
I think from where we started in 2009, there's been a lot of craft growth, but I also think there's been a lot of women that have grown with craft. I think that through some of the earlier marketing from some of the more commercial brands, that it tended to target the male audience a little more. But as we were just talking, as the craft portfolio diversifies itself more, there are a lot more options out there, a lot more styles. And I think with that, it's kind of drawn a new audience. And I think women are consuming that audience, probably not overtaking the male population just yet. But I certainly think that we're seeing some growth. Is there more opportunity for growth? I'd love to see more women out there, even as brewers or brewery owners, marketers. There's lots of different opportunities for female voice in the craft world.
And that was something that I found out, Haley, the way you and I actually started chatting. We wrote an article about breweries and planning way back, and I worded something poorly in my article about Kathy over at Abbey the Holy Goats, and said she's the only female brewery owner in Georgia. And I knew what I meant, but I also know what I wrote. You and a couple other of the wonderful ladies of Georgia that own breweries sent me an email and said, that's not true. We're here. So it is something that I know. There's Carly Wiggins, Kathy. There's a few out there that are involved just here in Georgia.
Yeah, and Jess Reiser of Burial, we talked to her a couple weeks ago too. Yeah, so there's a lot of folks there.
It's good to see that, and that that's happening. There's more people coming into that. I know in my friends group there's a few girls that are into craft beer, and it's something that
and Becky, of course, too.
Becky, absolutely,
awesome.
She's part of my friends group. She's
I guess that's true too. So yeah, this actually is an interesting group we have here today, because there are no beards and there's no plaid shirt, yet we're talking about craft beer.
This doesn't make any sense.
So it's a rarity now. It's a very rare thing. So,
but Haley, you mentioned groups. That you mentioned Jennifer O'Connell, one of our friends that had introduced you kind of the craft beer through a group called Gals. Is that correct?
That's correct. So Jeffrey and Nathan, as they were traveling down the road of homebrewing and just kind of figuring things out, I think it was the Chicken City Ale Raisers that mentioned to them, hey, there's this great girls group. You should send Haley to be a part of that. And met Jennifer and Kim. And though my participation kind of waxed and waned over the years because of pharmacy school, it was certainly something that I feel like helped me get my feet wet in the industry as it was. So having that female group that kind of backed me as I traveled, into co-ownership of the brewery was important.
And Gals also has a Facebook page too. So if you're interested in joining or learning more information there, just head to Facebook and look it out. So.
And I know another group, if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to be around other like-minded ladies with craft beer, Girls Pint Out also has a chapter here in Georgia. So check them out.
Yeah, if you're interested in learning more about craft beer and maybe a little bit intimidated somewhat, maybe something
all the beards and flannel and stuff.
Exactly, I'm intimidated by all the flannel and beards too. So it's the worst. So.
I started taking beard trimmers with me. I pull those out, then they get intimidated.
That's probably a good idea. Haley, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excellent. So hey, it is time to check out the hot list.
Time for the hot list. The beer guys have the scoop on what you need to know for next week.
That's hot.
So what's going on in Georgia, Tim?
There's all kinds of good stuff.
I see a big list.
I'm going to make a little change. Normally I mention the Saturday events. I know that I don't feel that we need to do that on here. We'll cover from Sunday to Saturday each week.
That's a good idea.
So listen in, and everything else is going to be on our calendar on our website.
That's right.
So check
BeerGuysRadio.com.
So tomorrow, Sunday Fun Day, and a Walking Dead watch party at Your Pie Perimeter. Early in the day is their Sunday Fun Day.
Okay.
Watch some Walking Dead, and they said a pro tip, ask for the TWD beer special. If you go to the watch party. So check that out. Next Tuesday, game night at Reformation. They play some board games, drink some beer, tabletop gaming there. So also on Tuesday is a cellar tap takeover at Cypress Street Pint and Plate. They've got a lot of great beers there. I saw some from the brewery, some from Jolly Pumpkin, which we don't see around here anymore.
That's great.
So check that out. Wednesday's One-Off Wednesday at Red Brick. Check that out. Thursday is Pint Night at Your Pie Perimeter, also featuring Red Brick. And then Red Brick's on fire this week. So
they are, yes.
Then Friday, I'm excited, Aaron.
Yeah.
Because this is a release of Vanilla Gorilla, which is one of my favorite beers in Georgia and definitely from Red Brick.
Yeah, and it's it's crazy that it's already that time of the year because they release it at the end of the year. And I just saw that Feast Noel by Three Tyrants is coming out too. It's November came and I'm not ready for it.
Just
Tim.
flying through. I post. I'm like, wow, it's November already.
I know.
Did this sneak up on you as well? The end of the year? It just flies by.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I kind of saw it coming with all the pumpkin ales on the shelf.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That just means the 4th of July is coming up
that's
anymore.
Right,
so
right.
yeah. And then next Saturday, Southern Sky up in Kennesaw celebrates their 1-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations to those guys. That's awesome.
What's happening over in Alabama?
Well, if you like drinking beer and riding bikes, because that's just a recipe for disaster, but it could be good. So the Standard Deluxe Dirt Road Century. So I guess a 100-mile bike ride on back roads. That's a little bit too ambitious for me. I'm just going to go to Good People and drink the beer that's there. It's in Waverly. And so, like I said, Red Clay and Good People are sponsoring that. So go on a 100-mile dirt bike ride and then drink some good beer. Election Day, Wish You Were Beer. That's Tuesday, by the way. And the Beer Guys drinking game on Tuesday, Election Day, is just to drink.
Drink
as soon as you get off work,
can.
Drink as much as you can to forget.
You want a drinking game? Get as much beer as you possibly can on Election Day and start drinking.
That's exactly it. But if you're in Madison,
drink responsibly.
That's right. Hire Uber. They're having Election Day Choose Your Bastard 2016. So they're obviously having a rogue, arrogant bastard kind of tasting there. So you can check that out. Winter beer tasting, like I said, it's the season. Hop City, Birmingham at Friday at 5 p.m. And having a veterans fundraiser, Beer Dogs and Veterans charity fundraiser at Yellowhammer Brewing Company in Huntsville. And that's going to be Friday at 5 p.m. So you get the full list, beerguysradio.com. We've got all the calendar events of things going on in Alabama and Georgia. So that's good. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Definitely. Speaking of good stuff, we have a giveaway to give away.
This is one of my favorite parts of the show.
We're giving away stuff to give away.
Cool swag.
Yes.
And Haley brought some Eventide swag to add to the box.
That's right.
So
I'm excited about
Haley.
that. Thank you.
We appreciate it. So some cool stuff there, including brewery passes.
Yes, definitely.
So our winner this week, Aaron, is Matthew Grund. Matthew, thank you so much for subscribing, following us along. Drop us an email to beerguys@beerguysradio.com. Send us your address, and we'll get your swag pack out. Swag pack
Easy
out
for you to say.
You.
Yeah.
Is it? So, Aaron, how can the good people that listen to us get their name in the hat?
Well, Tim, it's easy. All you have to do is head to beerguysradio.com and sign up for This Week in Georgia Beer. I can never do that voice very long.
I want to see you hold it one time the whole way through.
I might
Get you coughing.
I might have to pre-tape it and sound like Roddy from Price is Right. Go to beerguysradio.com, sign up for This Week in Georgia Beer. We don't spam you. It's just a once-a-week email, and Tim's got the scoop of all this cool stuff that's going on, events and releases. So it's very informative. But by signing up for the email newsletter, you also are entered into our swag pack giveaway each week. So it's a cool deal. And like I said, we don't spam you, and it's always good information.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Only the best.
Definitely. So, hey, we're about to wrap up the show. We got about a minute left or so. You opened up the Eventide Pale Ale. This is actually the first time I've had this one.
Yes.
I had a can of it, and then I dropped it, and then it sprayed out all over my driveway, and I cried. That was the last time I had one, or I actually had the ability to have one.
Alcohol abuse, Aaron.
It was. This is a good drinking beer. This is kind of up my alley. I'm more of a hoppier guy.
It's very balanced. The Pale Ale is extremely balanced, too. So it's, I'd say balance-wise, like the Kolsch. Nothing's too strong there, but you got a little more hoppier profile to it. So,
yeah, exactly.
Of course.
And it's dry hop, so it's a kind of a nice. It's like a nice, good,
Absolutely.
like I said, balanced beer. I could definitely have a sixer of this in my fridge anytime. So very cool. So we're about to wrap things up. Like I said, I got about a minute left here or so of the show, but we're going to talk next week. What's going on? We have got we're going to take a little bit of a break from beer. I know it's crazy. Don't go, but
what?
We're still going to talk alcohol.
Do we have to change the show's name?
I know. We're going to call it Whiskey Guys Radio apparently next week. But no, Richland Rum, Eric Vonk from Richland Rum is going to be here. And also Decatur's Independent Distilling will be joining us in studio as well. So we're
not really that far removed here because
that's true.
Both of these guys have worked with breweries to do beers.
Yes, so, of course, Terrapin had the Richland Rum release. Yep. And so we'll be talking some alcohol, and of course we'll combine some beer talk with that as well. And we're going to have to learn how to pace ourselves because this is going to be uncharted territory for us.
I normally have beer taster glasses, so I only get 2 or 3 ounce pours in that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can do that with rum or whiskey.
No, and not and drive home safely.
Right.
So anyway, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Beer Guys Radio. BeerGuysRadio.com is our website. Check us out on the socials. And, of course, if you missed anything, we've got the podcast. And don't forget Project BGR. Download that podcast as well. Have a great week, and don't forget, drink local.